My name's Alex Brooks, and this is my short big take that I wrote, directed, and edited, and I'm here to break it down. When the titles popped up, I literally told my sound designer I wanted to like punch the audience in the face with the titles. So it's kind of supposed to like relax them, and then it's just supposed to, with the music and the big red font and everything, it was just supposed to snap the audience into the story, but to kind of set the tone of like, this is supposed to be fun. My idea for the tone of the opening chase, it was for these guys who are, I don't want to say professional criminals, but this is what they do. This is kind of like, they're out for, a morning or afternoon run. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be a Jason Bourne chase. This is supposed to, these guys are in control. This is supposed to be fun. When they're running, I tried to time up their limbs on the cut. If his arm's moving down, the next person I cut to, their arm is also moving down. When I move their legs, it's the same thing. So I try to keep it like a couple frames back for each thing. But again, just a little note just for action to keep things smooth, because it can get kind of jarring if
Yep.
you're jumping from frame to frame.
I love how you have this J cut of the car passing sound effect.
Oh yeah, that was a big motif with just air moving. I don't know why. I think it stems from my love for the movie The Matrix, where everything that they do, it always has this little like noise to like all the movements. A lot of people who have watched the movie have compared this scene to the Mr. Pink chase in Reservoir Dogs, which before we shot it wasn't, I wouldn't say a big influence, but when I was editing it, it for sure was. I went back and watched a bunch of different chases and stuff like that.
Did you intentionally do that, or the music just, he's got like two steps there, and I marked it here because the steps kind of go on the beat of the song here.
That was a happy accident. Originally, the original cuts that were a little bit longer, I was intentionally trying to line things up with the music, almost like Baby Driver. With this, it just felt too forced. It felt like I was kind of waiting for the beat to happen and then cut. And so eventually I took the audio out completely and just edited it based on just the internal rhythm I was having while I was watching it without any sound or anything like that. And eventually threw the music back in. And it turned out actually a lot of it still kind of the major points, like what you're talking about with like some footsteps and stuff like that, just kind of happened to line up. And so I think it worked out because you're that internal, like again, the internal rhythm was more important than than trying to shape it to the music. This sequence right here, it took me forever to try and figure out how to get the momentum of him sliding and then coming through the door and then stopping and having that all feel correct. It was just really tough because we shot it with three different shots in three different parts of the day. You can actually tell by the way the light is hitting the door and everything that it's completely different parts of the day. See here, it's all in shadow, and then it's tons of light in the next shot. And then when he stops down in the last shot, that little bit of where the turquoise is kind of, I guess the light streak behind him on the right side of his face. Theo, who was my DP, but also the colorist, just added that in. It looked like the other part of the door. And when we were editing it, I was like, oh man, I would love if we had just put a streak on the door right there. That was in post. He did it in like a couple seconds. I was like, oh my God, movie magic. That's insane. But yeah, it was weird having the actor do all three of those different parts and then each of them kind of ending in a different spot. And so with this shot right here, it was tough where he would kind of lurch forward. So it was tough to kind of find that balance and find the anchor point of the shot. What kind of made it all make sense is that he pushes off his back leg in this shot. He kind of like jumps into the next frame.
You drop out the music, so you then have it go just to the breathing. It's kind of like the audience, we're holding our breath here, we're trying to figure out, all right, is the threat gone? Is he good to relax now?
100%. And I have to give a lot of props to Alex, because that was something I never really thought about, because when we shot this, we didn't record any sync sound whatsoever. So all the sound is added in post. One of my favorite editors, his name's Eddie Hamilton. He does a lot of the Mission Impossibles and Top Gun and stuff like that. When he does a first cut of the movie, he thinks that a lot of the responsibility of the sound design and stuff initially falls on the editor. And I would agree, where a lot of the, I guess, the anchor points for the sound, a lot of the major sound effects, like the lighters popping open in this and the slide and stuff like that, I felt like I had those baked into the rough cut from the get-go. Little details like people breathing and stuff like that. I had so much to worry about with the initial stuff that it was awesome to have Alex come in and add stuff like that in. Because so we had like a whole ADR section where we had John Scott and Noah come in, and they would just sit next to the mic and they would just go. It was super weird and awkward. So we did it for the whole movie. So he's breathing right here. And later when Noah like is smirking and stuff like that and laughing, it's like, that's all from an ADR session. Alex was basically running the thing. So I would give all the props for the little tiny details like that to him. He was great. The original cut, I showed everything of, you know, him turning and looking around the room, and then it panned around the room. And then when it cut back, he looked in his jacket to pull out the cigarettes. And I was like, the audience, if I cut back and he already has the cigarettes in his hands, it's going to distract them. But I guess it's trying to find that limit of what does the audience actually need to see. To me, a lot of the times it's watching it with a live audience. I would show it to friends and family, and you're sitting next to them watching it. And I don't know what it is, but every single piece of just garbage instantly makes itself obvious to you. I don't know what it is, but when I'm sitting in, you know, my room and I'm editing this, I'm like, okay, this is great. And I watch it with other people. I don't know what happens, but I'm all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that's got to go. That's got to go. That's got to be shorter. This isn't working. Even though they're not saying anything, you can kind of just feel it. After this part, it really doesn't make sense, because right now he's looking at the wall, kind of listening, and he looks back over his shoulder. And then the next time we see him, he's got his back up against the wall and he's got his cigarettes. Originally, there was this whole panning shot where he was kind of was in that stance, and then kind of gets up and comes back around against the wall. So again, it's just like most people don't even notice or don't even care.
Right.
When I'm editing, I'm a complete psychopath. I'll listen and watch the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, like a chemistry equation or something like that, where you take this out and then now you got to balance it out with this and stuff like that.
Oh my God, finally you're okay, right? I'm not okay.
You start the score in here.
Yes, we played with the idea of having it start when Noah busts into the room, but I thought it would be better if we just played that moment dry and then have it start like the mischievousness starts when the guy crashes outside, and they're kind of having this where they're kind of bragging to each other, but not really. It's the people outside doing it for them.
Also, you're like just cutting to the window just enough to give us like an idea of what we're hearing, but not too long to take us away from the real, you know, meat of the story.
No, it's just one guy. Dispatch is 13 out of 81. We're gonna need to set up a perimeter. Yeah. Tell him he took my wallet, my sunglasses, and my lighter. This guy was so bad. Wait, sir. Do you see anyone else in the area who looks...
This sequence right here, when he throws him the cigarettes and then he taps him on his hand and everything like that. The idea was to try and play sleight of hand on the audience. So I was trying to figure out how to do that with editing. You know, he throws him the cigarettes and then I bring the audience's attention in on those. We cut back to John Scott and he looks back over, and then I bring their attention onto the lighter. And now they're thinking about the lighter. They're not thinking about the fact that what happened to the cigarettes. Their attention is completely taken away to this. So the whole lighter motif actually came from a movie called Out of Sight, directed by Steven Soderbergh. But there's this one moment in it where he's on the phone with J-Lo and he pops this lighter open after he says something kind of cool.
Well, maybe I should put him on the phone and let the two of you work it out.
You wouldn't do that.
Oh, why not?
Because you're having too much fun.
When I was watching the movie, I literally sat up in my bed laughing. It was so awesome. And I was like, I have to steal that and put it in one of my movies.
This guy was so bad. Wait, sir. Do you see anyone else in the area who looks suspicious? What do you mean? Caucasian, short hair, had on a black leather jacket. Nope. No, I don't think so.
I think it's interesting that when he throws the lighter here, you're not really seeing it that much. You're really just seeing him toss it, and then that you hold on him. It's almost like you're not making a big deal out of the fact that he just gave over his lighter, and his attention is like off somewhere else.
Nope. No,
either one of those watches or both of those watches aren't actually working. If you look at the second hands, they don't move at all. If you have the sound in and you're moving the camera, you never notice.
We should go door to door. Starting with this room right here. Watch my six. No. It's only a few blocks away. 13 out of 81. And wait, what about all my stuff? Sir, I have to go. Okay, well, I'm gonna come with you.
In the first version of the script, I just kind of had it to where the people outside kind of just went away. And the two main characters were like, okay, we got away with this. But people kept saying like, there needs to be a moment where they're about to get caught or something like that, just to give a little bit of tension. And so actually this shot right here, where he's kind of reacting to the guy saying he's about to come into the room, was just kind of him setting up, like him getting excited. And then right after this, he kind of like, I know in the other shot, he kind of exhales as kind of like a relief. But this is like basically like recycled footage. I had to go back and try to find a moment where it looked like he was starting to get a little worried. You never know when stuff could come in handy if, you know, you're looking at your footage and you have to completely kind of rework what's going on in the scene. You never know what you can use. So
he lights up here. Now we're going away from the lighter. We're away from the lighter. See it? Kinda.
You can kind of see him palm it a little bit, yeah. But hopefully the audience's attention is completely off that.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
up here by the cigarette, and then we're away from it. Out of, boom, out of sight, out of mind. We're not even thinking about it anymore.
That's what I was hoping.
My gun's in my glove compartment. Let me just run to my car real quick. I don't think so. I'll kill if I have to.
And then you have the music fade out.
Right. The mischievousness of them kind of hiding and getting away with it is kind of gone. So I figured that'd be a good time to stop the music. And again, right here, just the little time jumps of cutting from him, opening up the door to a little bit, and then having the sound play. Another time jump.
Yeah, you got the last little musical.
That was all Dan, man. He that little motif right there, he put that in the beginning. He was like, I don't know, I feel like we need to add something in right there. Kind of tongue in cheek. It just adds a little fun into the movie. I think it really works. Yeah, this was an interesting sequence to edit again. Just kind of trying to get through all of this junk that he's going through quickly, but enough to where you know what it is. And this was probably one of the most, at least emotionally, one of the hardest parts to edit of the movie. I thought I really had to play up, him patting himself down to where people would kind of go, oh, the lighter. But seriously, as soon as he did the first two pats, people already started laughing. So honestly, I kind of wish I had made this even shorter. One of the best editing notes I got from anyone was my brother. When Noah realizes and he looks up, I actually originally had the shot going a lot longer where he kind of like starts laughing and like takes a cigarette out of his mouth and stuff like that. But after the first, friends and family showing, that was my brother's big note. It's like, just don't do the laugh and everything like that. Just have it end on his face, kind of like, okay, where's the audience's eyes? Like, they're going to be looking at Noah's eyes. And then when I cut over to the next shot, I don't want their eyes to have to jump super far from one part of the screen to the next. So not having to make the audience's eyes work super hard where they're jumping from one scene to the next. So I kind of, not that you're trying to keep everything close together, but you're trying to kind of like guide their eyes around the screen.
And you've got, I don't know if it's the final whoosh. It's just so powerful, just that cut on this. It's almost the effect of if you like zoomed into his eyeball or like zoomed into his mind or whatever.
The original Top Gun was actually another big inspiration for this movie, just for the look and stuff like that. But with the editing, with the dogfight sequences, when they would cut, when the planes would, do anything on the cut, they would have like a big
3 MiGs dead ahead, coming down the left side.
But it keeps it explosive. It keeps the momentum of each shot.
And then you have the music come back in. It's almost like he's like hitting play on the music with the lighter.
Mm-hmm. had a bunch of people helping me out with everything from the sound and the way it's shot and everything. And it took a long time to, like I said, chisel it down to what it became. There's a lot of short films you watch after the end of it. You might be a little pissed off that you kind of just wasted however many minutes of your life. So I was hoping at the end of this, at least it would be like at least a net zero where people weren't pissed off they watched it. That's all I was going for. But yeah, thanks for letting me geek out about my own edits. This has been a lot of fun.
And thank you for watching this video, my friend, and join me in the comments to nerd out more about editing. If you want to talk about Alex's short film, if you want to talk about something else you want to see in a future video, let's get it going. What's up? Have a happy day, my friend.